Today, I want to talk to you about intention versus inspiration. So, there was a season in my life I would set intentions every day, like setting an alarm clock. And every morning I had my list, and every list had a plan, a strategy, and I wanted things. And I had learned from books, from teachers, like from everything I did about self improvement, that wanting was not enough. You had to intend, visualize, set a goal, hold your vision, take action, all that thing. And it worked. And that's the part they don't warn you about. It worked well enough to keep me doing it for years. I got the things, but I was also tired, very tired. So before I go on, I want to explain one thing. If you are in a season right now where you're holding on, and that's like the only thing that's keeping you upright, letting go of anything feels like more falling instead of a relief, then this may not be the right moment for you to hear this. And that's completely fine, right? Some things you listen at now and you're only ready later to hear them. At least that is what happens in my experience. So if that's where you are, you have permission to close the video right now and come back another day or never. Your body knows its own timing better than my words. So for everyone still here, this is what I want to give you. It's the difference between intention and inspiration. And of course, we we need both in our life. It's not or, it's and. But intention is a movement of the mind, right? It looks at life, decides where it should go, sets out how to make it. It's not wrong. It's often even very beautiful, but it is the small self at the controls, steering from a very narrow window in my experience. And it is kind of certain it knows what it's best. And because the window is so small, because we see so little of what is actually moving through a life at any moment, intention has to grip. And it also calls the exhaustion commitment, in my experience. And inspiration is different. Inspiration is not something you generate, it's something you receive. And your body is open, is quiet, and present to see what is unfolding. So when inspiration arrives from somewhere wider than your thinking mind, I like to call it the field. Some call it the divine. Some call it the intelligence that beats your heart without asking your permission, right? You do not decide an inspiration. You recognize one. And then you can act on it if you choose so. Not because you have forced yourself into being, but because it moved through you and you said yes. So intention brings results. You set a goal and you have your results. And I can vouch for that. Inspiration brings something completely else. It brings the moment where you look at and realize, oh my God, my life has arranged itself more beautifully than I could have ever planned, right? That I love the feeling that I realize somehow I'm the author and somehow I was completely uninvolved. I think most of what we call taking charge of our lives lives in intention, and I want to honor that. It's a real awakening away from the victim role we take, right? It's a stage we all pass through when we discover that we're not merely the effect of the world's causes, but that we have power, right? And after a life of feeling powerless, that's a genuine liberation, and it should be celebrated. But it's not the last room in the house. Because at some point, if you keep going, if you keep paying attention, you begin to notice that even with all your newfound power, you still cannot control everything. The parking space you willed does not appear, but something better does, a mile away. And you walk, and the walk is the thing you actually needed. Things like that. You begin to see that your intentions, however good, are limitations. I know it's a thing to say, but it's a kind of limitations. They are telling you, the universe, what it may deliver when the universe was holding something you did not have the imagination to ask for. So it's slowly, tenderly, that grip of intentions start to loosen. It's so wonderful to go through that. And you loosen not into passivity. And this is part the mind fears, that letting go means going limp. It doesn't. You still show up. You still breathe, still work, still love, still keep the small daily rhythms that are their own form of devotion, our beautiful routines in life. But what leaves is only the grasping about the outcome. You keep rowing, but you stop fighting the water, the river. You begin moment by moment to agree with what is arising and to listen for what wants to move next. In the tradition that holds me, this is the quietest possible teaching. There is in the end no separate one who intends. There's only what is arising and the awareness in which it arises. And the astonishing intelligence that runs the whole thing without consulting the anxious little manager we take ourselves to be, or we think our mind can control everything. Intention is that manager working overtime. Inspiration is what happens when he finally puts down the pen and lets the letter write itself. You need trust to come to that point. And I'm not saying that from any top of the mountain. I say it from my desk on an ordinary day, still catching myself mid-grip more often than I would like. The reflex to intend is old and deep. It's a program, it's an old program. And it was installed long before I had to say anything, in the first 7 years of your life. And even some sources say beyond lifetimes, you kind of take on programs, memories, some sources call it. But I just want to share that I have felt the other thing many times now. So I'm ready to share, to talk about it. I have felt what it's to make something, not because it's forced it, but because it asks to be made through me. My book, You Are the Operating System, is an example of that. And I can tell you the two are nothing alike. One leaves you depleted. I remember my business life, my professional life, corporate career. I was completely depleted. However good the results were. But the other, the inspiration, leaves me more alive than I began a task. And though the making poured energy in rather than draining it out. So here's the only thing I would offer you. If you're tired the way I was tired, you do not have to stop wanting. Don't abandon the reins. Don't feel you have, or don't have the feeling you have to feel anything in particular. If your body is quiet or numb or too loud or too whatever right now, that is information too. But if there's a day when you can feel it, notice the difference between the things that you are pushing toward and the things that are quietly pulling you. What excites you? What refreshes you? What gives you inspiration? What makes you happy? What makes you feel uplifted? So and you start seeing the difference, which ones cost you and which ones feed you. So the body learns to know the difference long before the mind will admit it. And sometimes the body has to feel safe before it can tell anything at all. And that's where my professional work right now lays, right? To help people, to assist people, to guide them into safety, into a balanced nervous system. So the intuition and the inspiration can be noticed in an easier way. So let a little bit more of your life be led by the pull. And that is a kind of surrender, but not a surrender in a bad sense. Like, it's a surrender in the sense of a sail. Put up a sail. You're not doing less. You're simply stopping the exhausting work of pretending that you're the wind, right? So that's it for today. Take care. Love you.